Yeah, so just want to remember that we want to make them confident, and the more confident they are, the more likely they're going to choose your venue. So you can do that through continuously letting them know the next step and working them along the way. All right, so now to the number one reason why they don't pick your venue. I hear all the time that the price is too high. I even hear it in our venues. And really, if you're doing that pre-qualification up front, where they know the pricing, they're saying, yes, it's within their budget range, and still continuing forward, and then at the end they say the price is too high, what they're really communicating is that they didn't see the value. And that could be through a number of methods. It could have been that the communication was too long or delayed, or they just simply didn't see why they were paying a certain amount, or however they felt. And so really we're going to talk about how to overcome the price is too high and address value. Of course, there will always be some couples that simply just decided they're not going to spend that or whatever, but that percentage is much lower than the ones that are communicating to you that the value wasn't there for them. And one other note I want to make on this slide is that we ask, so anytime somebody, we do that follow-up with them, our couple, and we say, did you make your decision? And they say, oh yes, we chose another venue. Then we'll say, okay, well that's great. Well, can we ask which venue you selected? And that way we're taking data and we're keeping an eye on how many are we losing, and then who are they seeking out in the market, so that we can be aware of that. So the way to overcome that they didn't get the value is, number one, know your target market. We talked about pricing structures and who the ideal client was. So make sure you know your ideal client. Is it DIY? Is it wedding planners? Is it somebody looking for all-inclusive? What are they looking for? Make sure that you have a good grasp on that. Number two, make sure that you know what value you're providing as a venue. So as I mentioned earlier, we specialize in all-inclusive weddings, and our value proposition is that we create extraordinary stress-free experiences. So our couples that are coming to us, that's what we're mainly selling them, and we're communicating throughout the process. If for some reason you're having a hard time finding out or thinking of what the value is that you offer as a venue, then you can go and read your past reviews or any of the feedback that you've received from previous clients. So this is actually something that we did in the beginning, is we kind of had an idea, but we went and started reading through reviews, and we were hearing people say, oh, they made it so stress-free. Oh, it was this, and so we started picking out that language, and then we were able to craft our value proposition around that. The third way is to know your competition. So are you higher, are you lower from your competition in pricing? That doesn't mean that you have to change your pricing, but you want to make sure that you understand what are they selling as their value proposition. And you don't need to speak to this when you're dealing with a couple, but having that information is awareness, and you want to be able to focus on what your value proposition is. Just by having the information of what the competition is doing, you can say, oh, I see this hole over here, and there's a niche there, and then decide to create your value around that. Ways to show couples the value that you're portraying are, one, relying on your reviews. So you want to make sure that you're asking for reviews after every couple, and that, two, then you're taking your new couples that are coming in that are starting the sales process, and you're directing them to those previous reviews. That way they're getting a third-party perspective on what the venue offers, and it's confirming the value that you're communicating to them. The second is, and this is something that we do, we ask them what is most important to them from a venue standpoint. And since we're all inclusive, I'll use the example of food. So a lot of our couples will say food. And so instead of responding right in that moment and saying, oh, great, because we offer great food and it's quality and blah, 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 it'll turn the couple off. They'll be like, of course you're answering that. I just told you what was the most important thing, and it'll come across as salesy. So what we do instead is we'll ask the question, and then we'll take a mental note of it, and somewhere down the road on the tour, during conversation, we'll start speaking to the value that we provide around food. So when we're going on, we pass the kitchen. We have an on-site full commercial kitchen where the food is prepared freshly. We'll speak to that. We'll speak to our chef and their culinary team, their credentials, how they feel about food, what they like. We'll talk about, of course, this is just sprinkled in throughout the conversation and tour, the tasting process, how that goes, how they can customize their menu selection. So whatever it is that they communicate from a venue standpoint, you can then take those pieces through your conversation and tour with them and speak to them directly, answering their question without them knowing that you're answering their question. And it's just little mental notes of, oh yeah, that's important to us. Yep, that's exactly what we wanted. All right, so we reviewed a lot of information. Let's take a look at our couple now. In the beginning, they were frustrated and looked angry. Now they're the happy, easygoing couple with everything that we've reviewed. So let's sum it up in 5 key takeaways of what couples want from your venue. Number 1 is pricing. They want it clear, upfront, and visible. Number 2, they want availability. Make sure that you're responding quickly. I can guarantee you the venue that is most responsive is going to outperform their competition. So make sure you're being responsive. Make sure that you're setting expectation with office hours, when your hours of operation are. Have that posted on your website. Have it in Google. And then make sure that you're also communicating when you're out of the office and when they can expect a response, and then you're honoring it and getting it back to them within that time frame. Number 3, couples want to know they matter. You can do this by wowing them, surprising them with a return call on a missed call that they didn't leave a voice message, or also by going the extra mile and communicating in varying up communication methods. Email, phone call, something like that, or whatever. Maybe you have couples that want text and you're willing to do that. Number 4, couples want you to be their guide. Remember, this can be an overwhelming or intimidating process to most people. It's the first time that they're planning a wedding. So you want to keep them informed and let them know what the next steps coming up are. The more you can create confidence with your couple, the more likely that they are to choose you. And then be sure you're asking for the sale. You can do that through, what do you think? Open-ended questions. What do you think? When are you going to be making your decision? And then make sure that you're following up with them at that time. And lastly, we reviewed number 5. They want to make sure that they're getting value. They're exchanging dollars for the value that they're going to receive from the venue. So make sure that you know what your value proposition is, what is it that makes you stand out, that your venue has to offer that no other venue does, and that you're communicating and incorporating that throughout the sales process. All right, so like I said, we went through a lot of information today. If we try and do everything, it'll most likely end up like the diagram on the left. So what I recommend is picking the top thing that you think could benefit your venue and then selecting that to implement, and you'll be on your way to success. If you'd like a copy of the slides, feel free to email me at abigail@olayaevents.com. I'll be sure to get that over to you. I also have an information sheet of the top 5 apps that I think are applicable to your wedding venue. So if you'd like that, feel free to email me, and I'll send that over. And with that, I'd just like to close with quick acknowledgement to my husband for making it all possible, me to be a mom and be up here. So thank you all for your time.